Yo, what is up everybody? MVito here. Getting into fighting games has been an ongoing topic in my head over the last few days, so I thought I'd compile a few tips and tricks together, especially since I'm learning Mortal Kombat in preparations for Mortal Kombat 11 to drop in April. I want to say this right off the bat that fighting games are an investment. Unfortunately, you're not going to be picking up the controller or the joystick and immediately being the next Daigo, Mango, or Sonic Fox. That's just not the name of the game. You're going to have to spend a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time. I'm talking days worth of commitment before you can even come close to winning your first intelligent rank match that doesn't involve you mashing the Dragon Punch button. Piggybacking off of that thought, the first step is getting in the correct mindset. You're going to want to prepare yourself for what's about to happen, and it's not pretty. You're going to lose a lot at first, and it's going to be frustrating. But know it or not, you're subconsciously learning things like movement, character tech, and punish opportunities. Instead of getting mad or salty, which is okay, and it happens to everybody, take a step back and evaluate the match. How did I lose? Why did it work? What could I have done differently in this situation? Hopefully you won't lose to that same tactic. If a particular move or character is giving you trouble, go into the training mode and set up the AI to do what you're having trouble with, and experiment until you find an answer. I have a video I made a few weeks ago about getting into the right mindset for fighting games that goes a little bit more in depth on this topic if you're interested. There will be a little info card in the top right hand corner for you. Alright, so you have the right mindset. Next is choosing the game. I myself get into phases where I'll be playing one game for weeks or months on end, and I won't ever detract away from that specific game. But I like multiple fighters, so I typically bounce from one game to the next. Select the game that looks cool to you. No one's going to fall in love with a game based off the title, or at least if they do, it's very far in between. Research the game that you're interested in, look up the trailers, look up high-level tournament play with combo videos, and see what you think you'd like. Because games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Dragon Ball FighterZ may have similar mechanics that make them a fighting game, but they all play very differently from one another. Be careful about choosing a game that's too easy. I know it can be intimidating going into a more complex game, and it's tempting to find an easy game with less to learn, but it's dangerous in the long run. What will happen is that you will master everything, be pretty good at the game, run out of things to learn or work on, and then get bored. I would also be careful on what platform you want to play on as well. You can have a bigger community on PS4 as opposed to Xbox, and Xbox can have a larger community than PC. Choose wisely, because the larger the community on that platform means a larger variety of players and player skill to go up against. So you chose a game. That's fantastic. Next, I'd suggest looking up some top 8 VODs from well-known tournaments such as EVO and Capcom Cup. Look at the equipment the players are using. Now, I know you're going to wonder why the hardware matters, but each game caters to different hardware more effectively than the other. Back in 2012, I started playing Street Fighter 4 on a regular PlayStation 3 controller, and it was fine for the first 6 months, but over time, I noticed that my thumb would be getting little scrapes and cuts from the edges of the left stick, as well as the stick losing its resistance after every quarter circle motion, hindering my performance in the shooters that I was playing at the time. It's an optional expense, but I would definitely recommend either getting an arcade stick or a dedicated fight pad. Some of them are as cheap as $50 on Amazon with Prime shipping, but I would only ever suggest this to the player who is serious about learning the game that they've played. Typically, when going about picking a character in the game that you've selected, you're going to want to pick a character you want to focus on and carry that character through training mode. Most modern fighting games have bread and butter combos that can bring you to some pretty big damage when you gain the knowledge of that character's links and special move setups. Learning every normal, every special, their movement options, the range of all their moves, whether they hit overhead, high, low, unblockable, will be a major asset in taking your journey to either local tournaments or in online matches. I'd suggest running through the game's story mode as well. Story mode will give you all the tools needed to learn the ins and outs of the game on a very basic level. After all of this, The final step in picking a character is researching the combos for that character and then grinding them out in practice mode until they become muscle memory. When you've learned the basic mechanics and the advanced inputs and combos for the character you've chosen, you're going to want to learn the rest of the cast's matchup against your character. This will help you in discovering which characters you have issues with. For example, I have a hard time with Frieza in Dragon Ball FighterZ because he's more of a zoning character as opposed to a character who just gets right up in your face. I also have issues with Zangief in Street Fighter because I'm just not used to the grappler handling combos or how the grappler's mechanics work or anything of that sort. This is also a make or break point if you want to stay with your main character. Generally speaking, there is a tier list for every fighting game. Where your character lies on that list helps indicate that character's shortcomings and where they excel. If you're having issues with multiple matchups against your main, then you may want to consider switching off to another character in the cast who may have a better matchup against the character you're having trouble with. Now, you don't need to know how every character in the cast works, but knowing which normals and specials hit high, low, or in the middle will help you out in preparing for your block strings. Alright, so you've made it this far. The last step for getting into fighting games is the mental aspect of it. It's fitting ending this list with another mental tip because learning the basics of the character, learning the combos, and figuring out the matchups with every other members in the cast, you will now need to know how your opponent is going to be playing the match. Picking up on their habits in the match is critical to your success as a fighting game player. If you can pick up on your opponent's tactics, whether they drag a punch on wake up every time, or maybe they just hold back and block on wake up, you can adjust your playstyle to punish these inputs. I would suggest not thinking about mind games though, until you have fully mastered your character and how they play. Keep trying to play a proactive game instead of a reactive one at first, because then you won't get the basics down and understand what the online ranked environment is like. Always staying in your opponent's head and being one step ahead of them is critical to climbing the ranked ladder or moving higher up in tournaments. Remaining unpredictable and making your opponent think about what you're going to do will carry you further in the journey rather than just regurgitating what you saw in a combo video. Lastly, have fun with the game you're playing. There is no sense in grinding out something you don't like. Maybe you hate the juggle aspects of Mortal Kombat and you want a more fundamental based game, and you find that in Street Fighter. Maybe you want more complexity and freedom in combo creation, and that's where you find a home in Super Smash Bros. The key to success is enjoy what game you're playing and that you find it rewarding that what you're doing is helping you improve as a player. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to subscribe if you like what you see, and click that little bell for notifications. Will YouTube ever fix the sub boxes? Will my viewers ever see the most recent video after it uploads? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Follow me over at Twitter at mvito22. I would love to chat with you some more over there. Leave in the comments down below your favorite fighting game and how you see yourself growing in the fighting game space. Stay tuned for next week because I'll be putting up some live rank matches for Mortal Kombat 10 in my preparations to learn the mechanics of the game while we wait for Mortal Kombat 11 to release. As always, I will see you in the next video.